What's up, tribe? Thank you for being here and welcome to my channel. Today's post is titled Apprehend, and as it's a dialogue between Matias and his higher self, I'd be referring to Matias as me and to his higher self as I am. Me, to be all on the same page. Then what is understood by context as what surrounds us is really what crosses us, conditions and makes us what we are here and now, from the personality and the ego. But in turn, it is what we ourselves weave before living in this reality. I am, as I explained to you yesterday, the universe arises from a single consciousness called the One Being or Universal Being, summarized in the verb I am. By expressing itself in the four directions of time, expression, experimentation, integration, and transcendence, and the four of space, tetrahedron, hexahedron, dodecahedron, and icosahedron. The being becomes the eight-legged spider of eternity, weaver of the web of the cosmic matrix. Her weaving projects potentials in thousands of ways, and its different parts are entangled in the web that she wove herself. When its parts of the fabric are glued on it, they cease to be weavers, to be woven. And from that moment on, they become part of the context of the cosmic spider textile ensemble. To be born is to vibrate in this network, giving the feeling that the parts are flies, bees, or many other insects trapped in the net that you call the matrix. Thus, all the parts are interconnected with each other as they enter the fabric of life. And if one vibrates, all others will feel it. If each insect in the web is unaware of the others, the set of vibration will be chaotic and will lose meaning, direction, purpose, generating only confusion. This is what normally happens in life, in that the context that surrounds us is what determines what we are, what we do, feel, and think. We are at the mercy of the web of the matrix, easy prey for the spider of time and space that will devour us in a cyclical wheel called samsara, the wheel of karma, engulfed in a maze with no way out. The flies represent the different I that exist trapped in the contextual network of the creative fabric. Usually, when the I realize that the web is the one that conditions them, they consider themselves in a prison, seeing themselves as victims of the spider, and they seek to escape from it. However, if they all resonated in balance, they would all become the web, vibrating in unison, and remembering that they too can be the creative spider. me. So as long as we do not resonate in harmony with the contextual fabric, remembering that we are not the spider, but parts of it, the context will determine us. I am exactly. That is why it is important to know the tissues that makes us up, to believe that each individual is the creator of their own reality, is to ignore the workings of the networks and the cosmic web of the spider of time and space. Everything that exists is inevitably connected. Nobody creates their own reality, but we all co-create the universe that surrounds us. The only way to weave realities according to our own will is by recognizing and honoring the fabric, vibrating in harmony with it. In order to begin weaving, nothing is separate. Everything is part of a single thing. So to consider that you are you, a simple me, capable of creating everything that surrounds you, is to ignore that the fly cannot weave a web, but in turn, believing that a fly is incapable of changing a reality is to ignore the fact that its vibration can change the context of the entire network. The paradox is that even though we are projected aspects of the being, we continue to be said being, only expanded, and therefore, to unite the creative power, we need to co-create, that is, to create others together. And those others are part of the context that creates us. Recognize the context, and you will know the tools that will help you create a new reality. Me. And how do I get those tools? That is, how do I know what I can get from the external context to transform and harmonize my internal power and thus vibrate high and create? I am, through the concept of learning. Me. What we learn in life, then, is what we acquire to build our own reality, not? I am. You have to first understand the difference between learning and apprehending. Both come from the same root. However, they have evolved to conceive somewhat different concepts from each other. Learning and apprehending come from the words add, towards, pry, before, and hinder, catch, grab. The concept conveys the idea of capturing something, but in the bifurcation of concepts, it is understood that learning refers to the imitation or assimilation of knowledge or information through constant repetition. However, apprehending implies something much deeper, because here one seizes that knowledge as one's own, integrates it, and makes it part of his being naturally. Me. It is like someone who learns math in school for exams, but then learns to be a trader and handle numbers from a different context. I am. One learns the musical notes, the chords, the scores, but on the other hand, one learns the music and the melodies. Me. So following the example of the context, learning would be that when a vibration reaches me through the network from others, I imitate and replicate it as it has arrived. But on the contrary, if I receive the same vibration, I assimilate it, transform it, according to my interior and consciousness, creating a vibration that surpasses the one I received. I will call it apprehension, not? I am. Exactly so. Therefore, when you have recognized the contextual world, now you must ask yourself, what is it that you have learned about it? And what is learned, that is, what are the things that you did your own and with which you managed to do something, overcomer? And what are the things that you have continued to imitate from your context? Me, for example, I could say that I took my grandfather's will to know new things when I shared reading, drawing, and music spaces with him. But I decided to leave the comfort of his routine space to jump into the experience and adventure of what he read and heard. I learned his fascination with the world, but transcending the way he lived it. On the other hand, I recognize that my recurrent depressive state was activated in moments of weakness to attract attention, something that I learned to imitate from my grandfather's sister, from my aunt Olga, and I have been imitating this for many years. I am. The mechanisms of our life are divided into learnings and apprehensions, and the first ones that we have lived generally define the way in which we open ourselves to apprehend or learn new things. If you now intend to awaken a new expression in yourself, such as what you are doing, learning a new language, learning piano, all of this will awaken what was registered in your cells by the interaction of the environment. The way your cells got used during the first years of your life to capture the context is repeated to this day in the way you incorporate new things. We could say that it is necessary to re-educate the body so that it can assimilate new things. Me, how is the body re-educated? I am. First, you must know that you cannot teach a fish to climb a tree or a monkey to dive into a reef. What that being has apprehended is what that being has become. Therefore, the first thing to recognize is, what have you learned and learned in your life? And the next question to ask is, why and for what has he apprehended or learned it? When someone wants to heal their history and change their life to do something different, they usually avoid the past or ignore the reason why things have happened in their life. For this reason, you should not question what has been lived. You must understand it. assimilate it. Me. Then I must ask the questions. I am. This is the first question you should ask yourself today. And that I ask you, what was your first word? Me. According to my family, my first word was thank you. I said much later. I clearly said it strangely, but it was that. I am. So your brain and body managed to manifest before any dependency the word of gratitude, which makes you live in the surprise and gratitude of everything you live. The first word has a weight in all the thousands that you will learn later, because it is the first apprehension of the creative word, which molds the vocal cords, the throat, the tongue, to do an exercise that will be registered in your cells and DNA, or the rest of your life. The power to communicate. Now tell me, what was the first thing you remember apprehending in your life? Me. When I think about that, the moment I walked for the first time comes to mind. My grandmother wanted me to crawl. She had that illusion, but I never did. In fact, when she tried to push me forward on all fours, I fell forward and broke an incisor that was coming out. My grandmother told me that I never crawled a single step forward, and that out of nowhere, one day I took the chair and moved, step by step, towards another chair. I am, which marked the path of your life, moving forward, being a walker without intermediate steps, without previous searches, skipping steps, built a psyche and biology that intends to arrive earlier or faster than the rest, something that undoubtedly shaped your present, as well as your incessant search to do everything now, everything quickly, wanting to skip steps to see beyond what is. Crawling involves looking at the ground, the hands, what is close on the ground, and yet whoever stands up looks at the horizon, what is far away, and goes out of his way to jump into it. So your cells at that moment understood that they had to launch themselves into great and distant things that were almost impossible. And at the same time, it marked your constant stress looking to the future. Me. Wow, I never thought that such a small step from one chair to the other with a year old would mark everything I do and I am now. I am. Well, it is. And tell me, what did you apprehend from your environment? Me. I remember that my fascination with plants and trees, the seed and the fruit, was born from seeing and hearing my Aunt Olga's explanation about how to take care of them. She always told me about her plants since I was born. From my grandmother, I remember the action, riding a bicycle. My first time, it was with her. Launching into adventure, adrenaline, I related it to her. With my mother, I relate art, creativity. and detail and patience. Since we both drew together and we did crafts, I remember my great-grandmother working with the hand. See, my grandmother hasn't been doing so well, so a little emotional. I remember my great-grandmother working with the land, helping her. I remember my great-grandmother working with the land, helping her in the field that was the garden, harvesting, sowing. From my aunt, the game and the laughter, the importance of having fun. From my grandfather, I captured the listening, the silence, the humor, the love of knowledge. In my environment, in addition, I saw the elementals, Ahadas and Elvis, who explained to me about nature and the universe. I remember Sarah, my guardian angel, teaching me about love and forgiveness since I was little, and Kuan, my guide, teaching me about humans and how to emotionally and how to emotionally and how to emotionally relate to others. I'm sorry. As well as doing alchemy with my friends' games. All of this shaped who I am today. I had never thought about it. Where did all these things come from? Beyond my astrological chart, I always attribute my attitudes and others to the moon, sun, Mercury, etc., with Leo, Sagittarius, Capricorn, etc., but never with the physical context. I am. So you have to review these questions, because your physical body, your greatest tool, is composed of all the apprehensions of your human context, of your life here and now. Me, I am ready then to honor what I learned as a human being in my childhood, to recognize what I am, thanks to what has resonated with me in my environment. I am the first word, the first learning, the first apprehension, and what each one in your environment has left you to be who you are the doors to build what you will be. Me, I apprehend. I am. Well, we are all a constant educational network.